And back for the second part of this edition of What They Saw. We've talked about so far David Fincher's The Killer and help me,
Celine Song.
Celine Song's Past Lives. We're now going to talk about, I guess, I'm thinking it isn't the most acclaimed film of the year. But yeah, I would say it probably is. It's probably, I've seen it top more year-end lists, and it's going to be up for God knows how many Academy Awards. Martin Scorsese's Killer of the Flower Moon, his adaptation of the well-known nonfiction book. Um, and I haven't read the book. I, you know, I have to be. It's so hard for me to articulate when it comes to a Scorsese film like this, and same trouble with this film about monks. What was that? Silence, The Irishman. I just I don't know if I'm fair to these films. I saw Killers of the Flower Moon. It was like a shrug of the shoulders at the end for me. And I know how much acclaim it's gotten. I don't know if I just expect too much. Just to start it off, and you can address this. You're gonna do most of the talking here, but when I came out of that, I said this to a couple of people. I don't think there's, or I think there's 30 or 40 or 50 other Hollywood directors that could have done exactly the same film. They could have made that film. Mean Streets and Taxi Driver and Raging Bull and Goodfellas, they're Scorsese films. They could only have been made by Martin Scorsese. I just see him now as this guy who, he's sort of careful. He wants to be responsible. He wants people to like his films. He's made a film very much of the moment. And I'm not saying that it's a dishonest film or anything like that. It kind of reminds me of, you said this about Truffaut, that you end up being the father that, I had a great relationship with my father for the most part, but you end up being the father you hated. You grow into what, Truffaut started out as one of the Cahiers critics, criticizing these sort of expensive prestige films, and you end up making those. And I feel like Scorsese kind of makes those films now, and it's just a letdown for me. But then the other hand, when he tries to, and he hasn't done this for a while. I guess The Irishman was to a certain extent. When he tries to make a Scorsese film, they don't work for me either. I mean, Casino worked up to a point. So I'm sure I've said this before with you. To me, he either tries to make a Scorsese film and ends up imitating himself, or he tries to go in completely the opposite direction. He ends up making these really careful films that I don't like. So, not that I didn't like Killers of Flower Moon, it was ordinary for me. Tell us why it's great. Yes, it's all up to
It
you.
sounds like I liked it more than you, but
Yeah.
that's not going to mean I'm going to say it's great.
Oh, I thought you
I
said
think,
that in your email. I guess maybe you were referring more to the stills I sent when you said the stills I noticed. I thought you were talking about the
oh yeah,
film.
yeah,
Oh, okay. We'll talk about those stills after.
okay. Um, my expectations, I mentioned in the earlier one, that for whatever reason, I've seen more Scorsese movies than any other director, and I'm not sorry that I have, but I don't know if it's disillusion, but for me, Mean Streets and Taxi Driver are his best movies. I'm not a fan of Raging Bull, so already by 1980, I think he's not only he's over the hill, but I don't expect to see another Mean Streets. And what the heck? Mean Streets was made for $4, and no reason to even make another Mean Streets. But I've had 40 years to look forward to a Scorsese movie as this will probably be good. But I don't expect a masterpiece because my choice for his masterpieces were in the mid 70s. So I think that helps me
Yeah.
because I don't go to see these movies thinking this is it. This is going to be the one. Well, he
I
already
just
made the one.
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt here, but
But
I think I gave that up years ago too. I don't go to a Scorsese film expecting to see a masterpiece anymore. I know I'm not going to see Taxi Driver. I expect more than what I see, but I don't go in there with these. I don't want you to think that I'm going to every Scorsese film thinking, "Oh God, I hope this is
yeah,
great." I don't. I just want it to be good. I want it to be engaging, and I don't feel that.
no, I'm surprised when he goes in a direction I would never expect. They're not great either, but with Age of Innocence, he did way better with Age of Innocence than they had any right to, for me. Um, and I like that he's got those kind of movies in him. Yeah, he's also, of course, he was going to make Last Temptations of Christ. He's every movie is for Catholic movies, uh, but he does more than just remaking Goodfellas, and I appreciate that. Like you say, The Irishman. I mean, how many times are you going to go to that well? But this one, this is different.
It
I
was
don't.
very
I
good.
I like what you said. Did this movie really need to be made by Martin Scorsese?
Yeah,
I don't know. But on the other hand, if he and Leo weren't involved, maybe it doesn't get made. So, uh, in those ways, I'm glad he's there. And it's irrelevant to his the movies he makes that he's so important in terms of film history and preserving films. Uh, he's a very admirable guy for
oh
the
yeah,
stuff that,
absolutely.
before we even get to the movies he makes. Now, and I guess I want to say before I start bitching and moaning, I really liked Killers of the Whatever Moon, but uh, I've never been happier that I have my P app on my phone so that I know when I'm supposed to go take a leak in the middle of the movie. The
It
movie's
was
too long,
long.
and I don't know how it was in other places, but when we saw it before the movie starts, we get a little like 2 minute clip of Scorsese thanking us for coming to the movie theater,
That was
and I'm
so
like,
weird. So that
yeah,
plays, that's standard. It plays everywhere. Of course it would. Yeah. I didn't know what to make of that. I felt it was, I don't want to say it was beneath them, but it just, is this necessary? Why are you doing
well,
this?
it's a thing that there's the argument about long movies now, and he obviously he'll make a long movie now. Uh, there's a lot of things. The thing I thought was odd was that Apple paid for that movie, and so I don't know if it's made it yet, but that movie's going to be on Apple streaming sooner than the Oscars, if nothing else. That's not disingenuous. Hey, wherever he gets his money is okay by me. But uh, I'm and I try not to let it affect me. But when I read, especially with long movies, I mean, The Sorrow and the Pity is one of my favorite movies. That damn thing's 4.5 hours. I don't care if they're good. They can be as long as they want, uh, but I don't need to be yelled at. Oh, that's probably the wrong way to put it. If I complain about how long the movie is,
Mm.
even if I don't mind in the end because it was good. And I forget who it was. It might have been Christopher Nolan, but somebody they finally just said, Americans are so weird. Just get up and pee. And I thought, you know what? He's right. So I got my app. So, I get up, I go pee. And when I'm gone, they have a little thing in the app that tells you what happened while you were gone. I
Mm.
don't feel like I missed anything. Um,
Did it need to be that long? I mean, it didn't
I
have,
don't
the
think so.
story was basic. It was fairly straightforward. I mean,
I think it was on that link you sent me. Someone said, "Look, Buster Keaton made this movie in a
oh,
two-reeler. It was 20 minutes long, and
pale
the
face, yeah.
plot was the oil barons taking over the land from the natives." And I was like, "There you go, 20 minutes." There's several people have trotted them out. Well, there was this movie made in '56. None of them are 3.5 hours long. So no, it didn't have to be, but Martin Scorsese wanted to make an epic, and if he wants to make an epic, he's going to make one, and they're going to let him. And hey, more power to him. Uh, I didn't, I didn't hate it because it was an epic. Maybe I was even glad it was an epic, but yeah, didn't have to be 3.5 hours long. It didn't.
I'm just
And
wondering, was there, it was the story that sort of, okay, this is a story, and then it just flatlines. I mean,
well, you've got, and I give Leo credit if he's really the one. When they had the script, Leo was going to be the FBI guy, and he said, this isn't what this movie should be about. This movie should be about the people, those age. So let's switch this around, and I'll play the guy who marries her. Um, and they changed the whole direction of the movie, apparently, for that reason. And they should have, because this is a movie about the natives. Now, once they've done that, though, they've got Robert De Niro, they've got Leo DiCaprio, and the movie's going to be about them, no matter where their heart is.
And Lily
It's
Gladstone basically disappears from the film. She,
absolutely, she's
halfway
she's
through, she's bedridden and she's sick and she,
yes. And I forget what review I read. They said the problem is to the extent it's trying to stick to the real life situation, she does disappear.
yeah.
Um, there's, the story is about the way that they ripped off the people, but it's absolutely the case. And I have nothing against the acting of De Niro and DiCaprio in this movie. I think they're fine. And Jesse Plemons, always like him. But Lily Gladstone, she's the one who's going to win the Oscar for acting. It's going to be supporting actress. She's not going to be best actress. She's going to be supporting actress because she isn't in the movie long enough to be the best actress. But well, I like to say like in 30 years, yeah, I'll be 100 years old, so I won't be here. But uh, in 30 years, she's what people are going to remember. Lily Gladstone, they're going to say, wasn't she great? She was the soul of the picture.
Early
Without
on.
her,
Yeah.
all that stuff, and that's all true. And one of the reasons she disappears, I think, is because it's a 3.5 hour movie, and they couldn't fill up with 3.5 hours of her when she gets sick anyway. So we got all the different stuff. None of it was uninteresting to me, but the best thing about the movie is her and her character, and it's not the most important thing in the movie, even though apparently that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to make her important.
Mm.
But they couldn't help themselves.
Let me talk about the things. I have lots of negative things to say, but I'll talk about three or four things I liked. I liked her, when she was, I thought the courtship or flirtation between her and DiCaprio early on, it was good. It was sexy.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
She was very good. Sly.
Oh, just an insert on there. I
Yeah.
like that she wasn't fooled. There's the
No.
scene when all the women are sitting around and say he's after money,
Yeah.
and she's like, I know he's after money.
But look at him.
He
She
likes
says,
me
like,
too,
look.
but
Yeah.
she's not stupid
Yeah.
ever, you know. So she's not falling for stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead.
I liked her. I thought Jesse Plemons was excellent. I always
He
think he's
always is.
excellent, but
Yeah.
I thought he was really good. I got to part ways with you. I think DiCaprio is just the biggest weakness in the film. I find him so bland in this film and so just sort of, it's the character too. Like he's just,
Yes, it's the
he's a
character, and that I think he
daughter.
fits the character. For me, that's why I think he's good because
Yeah,
uh, that character is devious and he's a bad guy. And yet
right. But
he
he's
doesn't
also
really
kind of
know he's a bad
goldfish.
guy. Robert De
Yeah,
Niro knows he's a bad guy, but
right.
Leo's character, he doesn't know he's a bad guy. So he's got to play it in a recessive way, I think. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, I guess that makes sense. De Niro, I thought he was, fine for what it was. So I like that. I liked her early on. God, there were two, Jesse Plemons. And I sent you some visuals. I liked that it reminded me of certain things. Like it made me laugh when they had the De Niro. I can't put it on the screen, but they have De Niro in the courtroom and just is that the
Yes,
man? Could you identify? It was exactly like the shot in Goodfellas.
yes,
De
yes.
Niro, also De Niro. Can you point him out in the courtroom today? When her and DiCaprio, Lily Gladstone DiCaprio met, they had cars bring them to meet. It was exactly like Joe Pesci and De
Mhm,
Niro meeting in the
mhm.
desert casino. And the other part was not a Scorsese film, but Godfather 2, the ambush on their when they actually set fire to it, I guess, in one house.
Mhm.
That reminded me of Godfather 2. So I like those little reminders. Oh, I just thought of something else I really liked. As much as I didn't or was puzzled by Scorsese in the prologue, I actually surprisingly found his appearance at the end moving. And the
Yeah.
reason I did was I genuinely felt, and I don't know what's behind this, he did seem really attached to the story. He almost, in a way that did not seem contrived to me, almost broke down, I thought, in his little, when he said, and none of them were remembered, or the newspaper accounts did not mention, there seemed to be a catch in his voice. And, I don't know how many takes they did of that. Um, but that seemed quite genuine to me
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
surprisingly moving. Somebody thought that part in the message board, somebody mentioned they wondered if that him appearing, that sort of whatever, that distancing thing with the radio show was a tribute to Wes Anderson, which I'm not saying it wasn't. It just made me laugh. Like, just that Scorsese in the middle of this epic historical film. Oh yeah, I love Wes Anderson. I'm going to make this like Wes
That's
Anderson.
exactly. But I don't personally. I don't think Scorsese needs to or ever thinks about. I'm going to make a tribute to Wes
Wes Anderson.
Anderson.
I know. It was interesting. It was an interesting idea, but no, I agree with you. I don't think it was really. Anyway, I like that. I'd be hard pressed to think of. And there was a song. They used a song from the Harry Smith album, the anthology of folk music, at one point that was pretty interesting. To me, there wasn't much. It's Robbie Robertson's soundtrack. I don't even if I even noticed. It's got like some part of that. And I didn't get anything out of Robbie Robertson's soundtrack. So the music, not that I expected it to be great music, but the music was absent. I'd be hard pressed. The one sister I thought was interesting. Yeah, the tough as nail sister that got murdered.
Hmm.
Her story was kind of interesting. I don't know if there was much else I liked about it. I didn't dislike it. It just sort of went on. And again, I go back to that question. Ron Howard could have made this film. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's a totally unfair statement. Maybe now you point out it wouldn't matter. Maybe a lot of people couldn't have gotten the film made. It did take Scorsese's um, prestige. I won't say marketability. I'll say prestige.
Yeah.
DiCaprio, I guess, has the marketability to get it made in the first place. So that's probably the bigger consideration when I say 50 other people could have made it. Maybe they could have made it, but they couldn't have gotten it made. So I don't know. It's going to win tons of
It would
awards.
have looked different. So in my mind, I guess that what I'm saying then is uh anybody could have made it, but this was his one, and it's to me it's recognizably his. Ron Howard, he could make any movie he could have made. Ron Howard, and he wouldn't have. It would have been bland because that's a Ron Howard movie, I guess. I don't. I've often thought, what is a Ron Howard movie? It's nothing. But they don't stink because he knows what he's doing, but they
You
don't
know,
stink.
maybe he's not the best example. Maybe somebody, I don't know. I think you are a Ridley Scott fan. And I don't mind Ridley Scott. I'm thinking maybe he could have made it. Instead of making Napoleon, he wanted to make a historical film. Maybe Ridley Scott could have made this. I don't know. I'm dealing in hypotheticals here, and it's kind of pointless to do so. But I don't see that again. I know that Mean Streets and Taxi Driver, they're Martin Scorsese, and I feel like 100% connected or in awe or something goes on between me and the person that made that film. And I don't feel that anymore when I go to see a Scorsese film,
Yeah.
except maybe a couple of his documentaries.
I do think at the time I thought I wanted to remember I thought it was a good movie, not great but good, because any director is 81 and makes a movie
I should take
and
more
it's
of
not
that into
horrible. Then
consideration.
people was like, wow, he could still do it. That's just Ridley Scott gets it with Napoleon because Ridley Scott's 80 something,
Yeah.
and so there it's like the fact that he can make a movie. It's like we're supposed to be impressed.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I'm impressed, but that wasn't really Scott's best movie. I mean, uh, uh, and this wasn't Martin Scorsese's best movie, but they didn't stink. Okay, I'll give him that much.
Oh, no, I'm not
Uh,
saying.
Napoleon kind of stunk actually, but uh,
Um, I don't know where
but
he goes
anyway,
from here because I thought The Irish was sort of his swan song or valedictory film, if that's the right term.
well, that's the funny thing. Since I just saw Miyazaki yesterday,
Is
he supposedly
Miyazaki
made
the
this.
anime? Is that the animated film?
Yes,
Okay,
the
yes,
Get
he's
Studio,
82, right? And I
and
don't know.
he made his swan song like 10 years ago. And he was then, he was in his 70s then. Okay, I'm done. Then all of a sudden, I say all of a sudden, took 10 years, but here comes another movie by the guy. Now he's at the age, because since he does animation, he's in charge. He wasn't actually drawn anymore because,
Oh,
their movies are famously, they're not computer, they're old school.
and
But it looked like one of his movies in any event. So he did the storyboards, uh, and sounds like you haven't watched a lot of his movies, but they're very much, they're his, and you think this guy, whether he's 80 or when he was 40, he sat down and he thought up all this crap came out of his head. It's not just the plots; it's the bizarro little characters that he draws in there. Spirited Away had these things. I've never quit loving them. They were basically little dust bunnies. Smog dust bunnies. They were like kind of black.
mm,
They were just the most delightful thing. They weren't the main part of the movie, but he just like, oh, we're gonna put that in. So now he is in his 80s. All of a sudden he come out from retirement to make this movie. It was his best. Well, probably not, but it was good enough. He can still do that. Uh, and
I
in that
imagine.
sense, go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to say, I imagine that Scorsese, especially when he, wins the Academy Award for Best Picture and all the acclaim that's come to this film, I'm guessing he'll make another film. I don't think this will be his last film.
I don't think he can. I mean, that's what he does. Makes
Yeah,
movies.
exactly. If he can make a film, he'll make
Yeah.
another film. I think one of the probably in a weird sort of way, one of the best swan songs, and it had to be because I guess he'd already been diagnosed with cancer, was the Robert Altman film, the Garrison Keeler, which I thought was kind of moving because he reflected on life and death, and you could tell this is the guy who knows he's making his last film. He there's no option to make another one, and it wasn't Nashville for me. It wasn't Gabe and Mrs. Miller, but it was an honorable last film.
It had a resonance
Out of
that
resident,
came partly from the movies he'd made before that you loved.
yeah, and he
And
got yeah
then,
right. He got to use the
and
rep
yes,
company,
yeah.
yeah. So and that's I guess it's kind of nice. It's of course I don't know why he. I'm sure we've talked about this before. I know we've talked about. It. I don't know why, when, or how, or why Leonardo DiCaprio became his muse. I don't get that. It started. What was their first film together? Was it The Departed, or was there something before that? I think it was The Departed. Uh, and now
I
he's
mean, I don't know the story behind them. After Titanic, Leo could do whatever he wanted, and
yeah,
he probably said, "I want to work with Mark Scorsese." Of course he
I
would,
know.
and
And
maybe he just got an agent to call him up. Who knows? Maybe
yeah,
it did start before that.
but obviously Scorsese took to him in a huge
Yeah.
way. I think they're on their sixth or seventh film.
Mhm.
Um, and it's not the same to me as Scorsese and De Niro, the '70s and '80s. So I don't know not what initiated. I just don't know why the gravitation
Mhm.
pull remains there. But it's nice that you still got De Niro in his films. And was anybody any? I don't know who shot the film. Thelma Schoonmaker. Schumacher.
I
She
think she still edits it.
died, didn't she? Or she's still alive?
I
Did
think
she?
she is. I could be
Okay.
wrong, but I think she is.
Okay. And if she is alive, I wouldn't doubt that she edited this. Um, and what else to say? It's going to win Best Picture. He'll win Best Director, I think. Although Oppenheimer might, who knows? Oppenheimer was acclaimed and it made a
That's
lot more
funny. I've
money.
forgotten all about that one now, but you're right. It's one of the ones
If
that,
I had to choose between the two, I didn't think Oppenheimer was the greatest film ever, but I would probably, if I had forced me to rewatch one tomorrow, I would go for Oppenheimer.
well, it's like another big movie. But it can't predict anymore. I mean, I don't know. I never knew. I never was able to predict things like Oscars.
No, I
But it used to be that, yeah, it would be between Oppenheimer and Killers of the Whatever. I mean, everybody, everything. I always forget the name. Everything, everywhere, all at once. That was a giant Oscar winner.
Yeah.
Michelle Yeoh was in an Oscar. I mean, to me, that's a world I wasn't expecting to have happen. So God only knows what's going to happen
Or
here. Maybe
or there was 2 years ago, or the COVID year, there was Parasite, which came out of
that's
nowhere.
Parasite, another example.
Yeah.
And so we got to see him make his acceptance speech where he said, "Hey, America, it's okay to you just have to read those little words down at the bottom of the screen. You'll be all right." Um,
Oh, I just
it's
thought of
like,
something something that occurred to me when I was trying to uh, find words for why these films are disappointing. Two of the most famous losses in Academy Award history are both Scorsese's. He lost in 1980, the year he made Raging Bull, and I know how you feel about Raging Bull,
mhm,
but he lost to Robert Redford's Ordinary People. And
yes,
then in 1990, Goodfellas lost to Kevin Costner's Dances with Wolves.
yes,
I feel now he's on the other side of the equation,
yeah. I mean,
that now
there's makeup calls.
yeah,
That's what they are.
past lives is going to lose to the prestige film Killers of the Lost Killers of the
Exactly.
Flower Moon. Things have
And
gone.
I think that I've been wondering because I've been talking up Barbie around this house because my wife thought it was okay. She kept and I keep thinking, come on, it's more than okay. Now, why do you keep talking about Barbie? Well, I liked it more than I like Oppenheimer. I don't really know which one's better,
Hmm.
but I feel obliged on some level to say good things about Barbie. Well, it's got a Billie Eilish song. It's going to win her another Oscar. So there's all these things. But in the end, uh, there's just something I like about the idea that a Greta Gerwig movie about Barbie would be even in consideration. Uh, I know, like I say, for me, the Spider Verse was the best movie so far I've seen, but I don't think about it winning awards like that. It'll win
I
best
don't think it'll be.
animated feature or something, but
Yeah.
nobody's going to say that's the best movie. I understand that, but Barbie made a gazillion dollars. That should win an Oscar.
It
But
will
no,
win
it wasn't
something.
about the atomic bomb. It wasn't about Napoleon. It was just a movie about Barbie.
When films make that much money, the Academy Awards, I think one thing that's been true, they always will find some reason to give some award. Just as a thank you for all the money it's made for
You know
the
that maybe there'll be a battle between Lily Gladstone and America Ferrara for Best Supporting Actress.
Here's something. Can you explain to me? I said I thought Jesse Plemons was great. I don't know why I think he's so great. Why he doesn't do anything out of the ordinary in this film. He's just got a manner, an authenticity, or something, an easy. I'm thinking, is he like Gary Cooper? He's got this easygoing quality
I
to him.
don't know. I mean, I first he was on Friday Night Lights. That's when I first
And
found
Friday
him.
night, but he wasn't even the Jesse Plemons idiot. On Friday Night Lights, he played kind of this geekish
He
guy.
was the Yeah, he was the backup quarterback. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
and he was sarcastic and he was
yeah.
an
Mm.
intellectual. He's gone on to be something else. Like this is a real Jesse Plemons for he in
Well,
this film is
and
like he was in the one we talked about, like the weird Netflix one,
uh,
the whatever.
I don't remember who said it,
Good.
but someone said, "Isn't it time that every time he's in some people say, you know, I'm surprised that he's the one that's in this, but he sure is good." At some point, people should just say, "Okay, people like that guy. He does good. He's a good actor,"
Even
because it's
Marcus
just,
praised him. Marcus in one of
yeah,
his columns on Scott's site said
yeah.
had something really nice to say
You
about
know, and he's married to Kirsten Dunst. You know, I
him. I
mean, it
didn't
was
know that. I did not know
yeah.
that.
That I don't know if they met then the season of Fargo
Oh,
where they were both in
oh, they
that
were
season
still
of
great
Fargo.
together in Fargo. That's where I think the Jesse Plemons character really
I
started
don't
to.
know that I have a favorite season of Fargo, but I
Oh, I
definitely have a favorite moment, which is when they're escaping and there's that spaceship and he's like, whoa, whoa, and Kirsten does like, it's just a UFO, and that's like that's all she needs to say, and they've got to go escape or whatever. And just her the way she says it, I love it.
oh, their
Anyway,
season by far is my favorite for Fargo.
yes. Anyway,
Yeah,
can say I don't love it. I love him fine, but
yeah,
he made that movie with Jesse Buckley
yeah. That's what
where
I'm
they're
saying. He's
yeah, and I didn't like that movie, and that seems to be impossible because I've become so fascinated with Jessie Buckley. I like her previews because I mean, I like just to see her with that crooked smile, and I like him, and yeah,
I
that
liked
movie,
him in that more than the film itself. I liked him in that.
yes, I mean, there you go. That's the one where Jessie Buckley does a Pauline Kael review
That's it.
as
We
dialogue.
did that was one of the first
Yes,
films we talked about
yes,
in this series. Yeah.
yes.
Um,
But
and
yes,
also,
I will. I will. I can spend an hour on YouTube just watching videos of her singing a song here, and then doing a talk show, and then watching a clip. I'm totally fascinated with this
well, she
woman.
was so
But
unusual in her season of Fargo. She was
Fargo, yes,
uh,
I watched
homicidal
it
nurse.
again to prepare for the new one, and yes, I love and that one. I love it in her very last moment when she and the other guy are going to get killed, and she says, "Can you kill him first so I can watch?" What a great but maybe she's got to have somebody give her the line to say, but
I was thinking
she
of
can do it
Jesse
well.
Plemons. So one of his strangest characters is his recurring role on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, where somebody describes him as this something like this homicidal opioid motherfucker or something, because he looks so innocent, and he's the one that kills the kid in the
Yeah.
episode of Breaking Bad with the spider. Anyway, he's just a really interesting actor, and I don't know if he's going to keep doing supporting roles. Does anybody take a chance? And I know the one we were just talking about, the TV one, but is anybody taking a chance on him as a lead actor
Oh,
in a big Hollywood film? I don't know.
yeah. Well, I'm not sure it's a chance anymore. People like him, you
Yeah,
know. He's
I know.
it's
Someone
not
should.
like that he was the star of Titanic and gets to make movies the rest of his life off of that, but people like him. Movies are popular, whatever, you
Yeah.
know.
Okay. Thanks. Enjoyed this, Stephen, and
Yeah, me too.
see what happens.
Appreciate the invite and
Yep. See what
Scott,
happens.
I appreciate whatever you do to it.
I think we talked about two of the three films that will be heard from. Well, we know one of them for sure, but Academy Awards.
Yeah.
They're going to win it. They're both going to win Academy Awards. That much is true. Okay.
Yep.
Take care, Stephen. Talk to you later. Take care. Have a good holiday.
You too.